We begin, of course, with the debt limit deal. Now heading to the Senate after it passed the House last night with support from a majority of both Republicans and Democrats.
But with the deadline to avoid a catastrophic default only 4 days away, concerns linger that the deal could face some hurdles from senators on both sides of the aisle. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill and has been tracking it all along with Elizabeth Schulze at the White House. So, Jay, it's a big day, right, for the Senate after the vote, after this bill passed in the House. What does the Senate look like?
Yeah, and to answer that question, Terry, I have to walk you through something that the four of us are very familiar with. It's called Senate magic, and it's as real and all around us as the air that I am breathing here. And it means that when senators are staring down the barrel of a weekend, they work a little bit faster than you perhaps would have expected them to. Earlier on in the week, if this passed the House on Wednesday, which it of course did last night, the prevailing wisdom was that there would be a vote in the Senate potentially by Friday. But what we're hearing now as senators emerge from meetings a little bit earlier in the day is that there is the possibility for a vote tonight on this debt ceiling legislation. There is still no deal done to put the vote scheduled for tonight, but we know that aides are working feverishly behind closed doors to try to hammer out some kind of an agreement that would allow the Senate to vote on this tonight. Now, it might be late tonight, possibly into the early morning. There are amendments that they will have to vote on first between 10 to 12, my colleagues Trish Turner and Ali Pecorin in the Senate are told, but on track for the possibility of a vote as early as tonight, if not tomorrow. And again, the X-date is Monday.
Well, Elizabeth, as Jay just pointed out, the Senate will most likely have some changes here, right, before the bills pass. So what could some of those concessions be?
Well, and Karen, it's a message we've heard since this agreement was finalized, that both sides feel like they didn't get what they want. And as we head into the Senate, the possibility that senators will put amendments forward to make some of the changes to what they don't like. So, for example, Senator Tim Kaine has said that he wants to remove a provision in the bill that would expedite this natural gas pipeline that Senator Joe Manchin has been pushing for. We've also heard from the Bernie Sanders of the world saying they don't like the work requirement provisions in this. The Senator Mike Lee's of the world basically saying that they think this doesn't cut enough spending. So really the question is going to come down to how much will that amendment process hold up the vote? Will that go kind of drag on, as Jay was talking about the process here, or will some be filed and then they get through with this, recognizing how tight this timeline is? We do know that the president talked with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer last night, saying that there is a real urgency to get this done. He wants to get this bill to his desk as soon as possible, guys.
And, Jay, you know, we've seen that drama in the House that was resolved by a bipartisan compromise among the most despised constituency in America, the moderates, right? So all of a sudden,
I'm not lashing out already.
That's right. Who are all, you know? So is that we're going to see something similar in the Senate? That all of a sudden adulthood has broken out in the United States Congress.
Well, I don't know about that, but I can tell you that two things there. Firstly, we have not seen the White House and the Speaker work in this kind of tandem, and then Senate Republican leadership as well, before on anything else, right? Both trying to sell this deal to their parties simultaneously, and you saw the product of that in the House last night. The other thing I can tell you is, speaking with those in the Senate, is that there is an absolute certainty amongst those in the Senate that they have the votes to pass this, and as we've been discussing, the only open question is, when does this vote take place? Does anyone want to push this too far into the weekend, or do we get a vote as early as tonight?
So, Elizabeth, we've been talking so much about a default, right? We're moving in the right direction, it looks like, but still this has had an impact on the economy. We've watched it. We've watched the markets, you know, go up and down depending on what's going on with negotiations.
Right, and the big word there is uncertainty. And the fact is still that until this bill is on the president's desk and signed, there is a risk that the government would run out of money to pay its bills. So that would mean those payments to Americans for Social Security, for Medicaid, ultimately the fact that bondholders, people who own government debt, might not get paid out until this is a done deal. But there is something to remember that's really important here, is that back in 2011, when we were up against the clock like this, even after the bill was signed and the deal was done, that's when the U.S. credit rating was downgraded. And that was because of the political brinksmanship, this back and forth that we saw, this negotiating over something that really does affect so many American households and their finances, that affects not just the safety of the American economy, but really the global financial system. So that is still a risk that could face the economy as we move forward, especially the closer we get to that deadline, guys.
All right, Jay, Elizabeth, thanks so much, guys.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.